Hey guys, welcome to another segment of What's Your Issue with myself, Bernice.
And Oneishea.
And today we have a very interesting topic for you guys today, so let's get going. During the week, there was an interview that Gayle King did with Lisa Leslie of, she's a ex-WNBA player. So with the recent passing of Kobe Bryant, I guess they just wanted to, interview people that were close to him. Mm-hmm. So Oneishea, the interview, mind you, I didn't watch the full interview, but the snippet that I did watch that has everybody talking and everybody up in arms is there were parts where Gayle King started to ask Lisa Leslie about her relationship with Kobe in terms of their friendship. Right. And if she's seen any signs that would ensue that he, due to the alleged rape case that he had, she proceeded to ask her some questions if they went out, when they had gone out, had she seen signs of him, engaging in inappropriate behavior and all that sort of stuff. Right. So Lisa Leslie, honestly, Oneishea, was able to answer the questions in a way that was honest. She stated her opinion and was so respectful of her friendship with Kobe Bryant. Right. There was, for me personally, watching the interview, this part is what really got to me. Okay. So she asked Lisa Leslie about the point that I just made about how if she had noticed any signs of Kobe in regards to the allegation of rape, she had seen any signs of that. So Lisa Leslie proceeded to say no. She hasn't, because of their friendship and being around him and the way he has carried himself with the respect and dignity. She stated no. So then, honestly, Oneishea, Gayle King proceeded to say, but you wouldn't know that though. Right. So the reason why it has me upset, first and foremost, they're friends for a long time. Right. I think we can use an example of you and I. We have our guy friends, and you know which ones are perverts. You know which ones you can have certain conversations with. You know which ones, will engage in certain behaviors, whatever. Right. But I think for me, it's like she's friends with him. She would have picked up on certain inappropriate behaviors, especially being around him for so long. Right. So when Lisa Leslie said no, and Gayle proceeded to state, Oneishea, but you wouldn't know that, for me, it kind of made me feel like you're questioning her friendship, certain things that she's observed about the man. And on top of it, Oneishea, the man has passed. Right. Gayle King also proceeded to say, she's had numerous opportunities where she's been around Kobe. Why didn't you ask these questions, these alleged questions concerning the rape case when you had the opportunity, Okay. Not wait until he passes. While on top of it too, the man hadn't even been buried yet. Right.
So I saw the snippet as well, and this is how I feel about this. Mm-hmm. I think Gayle is a journalist, and it is her responsibility to ask the questions. Yes. I personally didn't see, my problem with the questions was that it was being asked to the wrong person. Yeah. That is my problem with it. It's I don't think she did anything wrong by asking those questions, but I think she was asking the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And I say that because those are not Lisa's questions to answer. Yeah. You know what I mean? We can only speak on our friendship with someone. And as you say, you will have friends whom you can say, based on their character and how they act, that they're not inclined to do certain things. Yes. But we also know that we have friends, I have friends who, because they know who I am, they know they can't bring certain things to me. Exactly. And that's just it. True. So I don't want to be held accountable for their actions after their death. I don't want to be the one now to respond to their character after they've passed about something that they had committed. Yeah. That wasn't challenged. Yeah. For lack of a better word. What Kobe's rape case was eventually dismissed. Yes. But definitely. Kobe did apologize to the woman that he raped, because he said that what he thought was consensual when he reflected wasn't. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I don't think this is a conversation for any of us to be having. And the reason why I say this is someone who is still alive had endured this trauma. Yeah. And I think in all the conversations about Kobe's legacy and all that, There's someone who was traumatized by his actions. Yeah. And I think that person deserved the right to her story. Yeah. And I think the fact that people are having these conversations about Kobe's legacy and what his character may or may not be based on how they feel about him overshadows her experiences and silences her experiences. Yeah. So, but as it relates to the question about Gayle King and Lisa, the questions that Gayle, and I think this is why people were so upset with her, is that she was asking Lisa to defend Kobe's character about that specific issue, and then she continuously pressed on even when Lisa Leslie was able to give her an answer. It may not have been like the type of answer that Gayle wanted. And I understand too, Nisha, yes, she is a journalist and there are certain questions. We cannot deny that this case is part of Kobe's legacy. Whether people want to say it or not, it's part of his history. And it is something that people will question. However, it's about the way she went about pressing Lisa Leslie. Like, she's asked numerous times when the woman answered the question and was like pretty much let it go. So I think for a lot of people too, it's that issue when Gayle King was persistent in wanting to find out whatever it is she was seeking when she continuously asked that question in terms of his legacy. And I was like, and at the ending of the interview, you even saw Lisa Leslie was like, the media just needs to let it go. Right. Let it go. You can ask, but ask it in a way where once you receive, from a journalistic perspective with integrity, but once you've received an answer, just let it go, move on. Because the interview solely wasn't just supposed to be about Kobe. Right. It was supposed to touch on other aspects of Lisa Leslie's accomplishments, her life, and whatever. But then that little snippet alone just went a little too far. Right. My opinion, and I can only assume why there's such a strong reaction, especially a lot of men were coming for Gayle King that I know of, and some women, is I think people are making the comparison between how Gayle and Oprah, who's also Gayle's best friend, handled the Harvey Weinstein situation versus how they handled other situations where the accused was not white. Yeah. And I think it's because of that. That idea, not that idea, but that, like, because of that, their actions. A lot of people are still feel some type of way about it. But personally, I think that we do have to try to be objective in a way. And I say this because the man passed. People are sensitive. People are going to be reactive. Mm-hmm. But that does not exclude certain questions, and I know a lot of people won't agree with it, but it doesn't exclude the question about it.
I agree with you.
And I don't agree that people should be coming at Gayle harsh for asking these questions. Yeah. I do agree that these are not Lisa's questions to be answered. She can only talk about her experiences with her friend and what she observed and what she chooses to share. Yeah. You can't expect her to tell you how he, you know what I mean, like what he was doing, whether he did something or not, or whatnot. That's not for her to tell. No. So in that regard, I understand the frustration, but in general, how a lot of people were coming for Gayle was not okay. Like, even Snoop Dogg, he crossed some lines with what he was saying, and I find it to be upsetting, and I find it to be upsetting because, you know, there are lots of women who, there are lots of survivors of sexual violence, and a lot of women. And we all know that when a woman comes forward, even if we don't want to accept it, there's all that perceived guilt. Yes. Right? Without them, if they, why were you there? What were you wearing? All those things, even before it was who harmed you? Or what was the harm that was done to you? And if the person is a celebrity, nobody's gonna believe you, right? And people know that, and survivors know that. Yeah. So when you've been victimized by someone who's famous, and then this conversation gets regurgitated and dissected for public consumption, without considering your feelings, ratings or for views or whatever, I think it's traumatizing. It is, and it's re-victimizing, right? And so the media, there are many aspects to Kobe Bryant's story. Yeah. And I think the media chooses the most salacious parts of it. to re-engage people and get views and whatnot without really thinking of the consequences of the people who are hurt and are re-traumatized by the conversation. Yeah. So do I think that, you know, Gayle was coming from like a place of journalistic, is that a word?
Journalistic integrity?
I question it because I question from what I observed and the nature of those conversations. However, do I think it's a conversation that needs to be had? Yes. It needs to be had.
It is part of his story.
Yes, we can't assume. No, you have to own whatever it is.
Yeah, it's part of his story. It's part of his legacy. It is unfortunate, but we can go about it doing it in a way where it's tasteful, not salacious.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think we're doing too much to protect him, to be honest.
I disagree. Like, I think for me, it's anytime, like, especially when a black man has done something and they've passed on, like, the way they go about regurgitating some of their things in the past, it's not okay. Because, for example, even, like, Matt Lyer and some of those other men who have been allegedly, accused of rape and inappropriate acts, and however the interviews are not being done with them. Why aren't we questioning some of the people around them?
That's not. You cannot take a wrong and overshadow one and say, well, you're not talking about this person, so how come you're talking about this person? No, I don't think.
But if you're journalism, Nisha, that you have to question every case that comes up. If you're gonna do journalism with integrity, there you have to be fair on all grounds.
You can't just in that sense, but you cannot say that the points were not valid or the questions were not valid because they were not asked to everybody.
No, you're right. The way the journalist, you're right.
But the conversation itself is valid.
Definitely, and I agree with you. That's why I said even earlier, as you were saying, like, this is a part of Kobe Bryant's history. Whether we want to talk about it or not, we cannot erase that fact. Right. However, it's the way about the journalism having integrity in going about the way they question. And I'm not saying you're always going to get those questions where it's going to be butterfly, where, you know, the questions are going to be asked appropriately and however you're going to get those. But the way she went about persistently questioning Lisa Leslie and just kind of harping on it when the woman gave an answer and it was just time to move on, Gayle.
I don't know. We're not trying to solve anything here. And there are many points that I disagree on, and for many, many reasons. And, you know, I think a lot of celebrities get a pass all the time. It doesn't matter.
Definitely.
They get a pass. Definitely. And I think because we live in a culture where people idolize and glamorize and they like hold celebrities on this pedestal, it's like they can do no wrong. And if they've done a wrong and you've said, oh, you did a wrong, you know, you're a bad person for holding that person accountable. So I don't see any way in which Gayle could have done this where she would not have been attacked. I don't. So, and I think that regardless of what the questions were, she would have felt a backlash. But, Bernice, I have a very, very strong issues with the way in which people came for her.
Definitely.
It was not okay.
She didn't deserve to be threatened. She didn't deserve none of that.
And you brought up a lot of... It's like... She's a woman, a black woman in a position of power. So, in a way, it seemed to me... The backlash she refuses, like, she should not have asked those questions at all. Yeah. And I don't think that's right. Yeah. I don't think that's right.
And the fact that the masses also feel like, you know, they're unjust when it comes to black men.
But I don't think it's that piece. I don't think it's that people are saying, oh, you're unjust when it comes to black men. I think it's because, oh, it's Kobe. Whatever happened. It's in the past. Don't ask those questions. I got the feeling that it was coming from that place. Of like, well, it's past. He did all this. Let's focus on what he's done and not whatever had happened. That's why I got the feeling, and that's where I got the feeling like a lot of people are coming from. Like, it's in the past. She shouldn't have asked those questions. And
that part is true too. But I also feel like it's the fact that there's been other cases, and you know, Gayle and Oprah are not questioning.
You're right. There are other cases, but Bernice.
But I also feel like in terms of journalism, Nisha, those questions have to be asked. It's part of his legacy, and it's part of his Like,
so
however...
So is the problem that Gayle asked the question? Is the problem that Gayle is a black woman? Is the problem that those...
For me, it's the way...
asked? Like,
yeah, for me, it's the way the question... Asked those questions, the way when she asked those questions and it was answered... it's the persistence. You got the answer that you were looking for. Exactly. The probing, for me, that was my issue. You asked a question, she gave you an answer, move on. And you can see it in the interviewee too, that how uncomfortable she felt about. And I'm not saying like questions are meant for any interviewee to be comfortable. However, when you got a response from her based on the question that you asked and she gave you her response, move on. Okay. And that's where like my issue is with the whole situation. It's just a constant probing. You're making, like I said, you're just thinking about the interview then and now, but you're not thinking about the re-victimization, the trauma that you're bringing about, not just the victim's family, but also his family, his kids.
But I don't think the backlash was anybody who were concerned about the victim. Like,
the backlash, they're not concerned. They're just more concerned about defending Kobe's legacy.
And I think the hypocrisy that is like, so...
And two wrongs don't make a right. Like, they had no right to threaten Gayle, make her feel uncomfortable. You know, I mean, that's not the way to go. Two wrongs don't make a right. You can you can agree to disagree. We don't all have to agree with the way she went about things, but we can respect that she was doing her job. You don't have to like the way she went about it either. So that's our little take on this whole incident with Gayle King, and the Lisa Leslie interview.
Guys, this is a really complex issue. And I mean, I think it's important to have these types of conversation when it comes to like discussing celebrities and their actions and their legacy, and even like how the parts that we played in it, because sometimes we like people so much that we're blinded to their faults and their misgivings, right? And I know a lot of times when someone has passed and it's like, okay, let's just focus on the good, let's just focus on the good. But you know what? Like,
you can't.
Some people didn't only do good. Yeah. They've done harm, and whether they have worked to compensate for that doesn't erase the fact that it has happened. Yeah. And furthermore, if somebody harms me, it is for me to give forgiveness. It is not for people to forgive that person on my behalf. Yeah, definitely. You know, so I know it's a hard topic, especially when it's somebody that you really love and admire that's at the center of it, but I think it's a conversation worth having.
Definitely. All right, guys, let us know your thoughts on this segment. Like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys another time. Bye.